Okay, so welcome to tonight's seminar on enhanced participant engagement, the third priority of the action plan. My name is Anna Koenig and I'm Rotary Coordinator in Zone 17. And before I hand over to our guest speaker, I would like the Zone team to please introduce themselves. Philip, would you like to go first?
Sure. Hello, my name is Philip Flint. I'm from District 1470 in Denmark, and I'm currently serving as Rotary Public Image Coordinator in Zone 18.
Lars?
Hello everyone, my name is Lars. I'm from District 2260 in Norway, and I am the Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator for Zone 18.
Sophia?
Hi everyone, my name is Sofia Gísladóttir from District 1360 in Iceland, and I'm an Assistant Rotary Coordinator for Zone 18 with Mingele.
And future director.
You too.
Ingrid? Oh, she's muted.
Well, Ingrid is from District 2290 in Norway, and she is Empolona Coordinator for Zone 18 while driving.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you,
I will
Lars.
be home in 5 minutes. I got you now. Okay, but I'll come back to you very soon.
Thank you. Urmas?
Yeah, hello to everybody. I'm here.
Just your name and your role, please.
Yes, just now.
Yes. If you would like to introduce yourself.
Yeah. My name is Urmas Karlep, and I'm the Rotary Foundation Regional Coordinator for Zone 17. And I'm from Tallinn, Estonia. Thank you.
Thank you. Tina?
Hello, everybody. I'm Tina Schön from District 1410, Southwestern Finland and Åland Islands from Laitila, and I'm the Assistant Rotary Public Image Coordinator for Zone 17.
Annette?
Thank you very much. My name is Annette Lovert, and I'm the Endowment Major Gift Advisor from Zone 18, and I'm from Denmark, District 1461. Thank you.
Thank you. Frederick?
Hello, everyone. I'm Frederick Sandström from northern part of Sweden, District 2325, and I'm serving as the Rotary Public Image Coordinator for Zone 17.
And Anita?
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Anita Häggblom. I'm from District 1410 from Åland Islands and assisting Regional Rotary Foundation Coordinator.
Thank you. So this is part of your Zone team, and we're here to assist you in all areas like membership, Rotary Foundation, and public image. Now it's a great honor for me to welcome our speaker tonight, Tom Gump. He is aide to Rotary International President Stephanie Urchik this year, 2024-25, and he is also a member of the Membership Growth Committee of Rotary International for the years 2022 to 2025. And while Tom speaks, if you do have a question, please write it in the chat, and we will take a few of them after Tom has spoken. The floor is yours, Tom.
Well, thank you so much for having me here today, and it's wonderful to see all the friends on the screen. And thank you for letting me talk about what I consider to be one of the most important things in Rotary, and that's enhancing participant engagement. And I see Per Hoyen on the screen, and I think about his car and his license plate that says Rotary on the front of his license plate. So there's just so many different ways that we can enhance participant engagement. So I want to remind us of a few of them. And, you know, it's interesting, you know, we have this strategic plan that's been in effect for about 5 years. And just this past fall, they have re-engaged with that plan to see if we needed a new plan or we need to update the current plan. And what was decided was we need to basically take objectives for each of the 4 strategic plan priorities. So we have a vision statement, and that vision statement is what we want to be as Rotary. And that vision statement says, together we, and that's important because nothing happens by itself, but together we as Rotary, our members, see a world where people unite to create change that'll have a lasting impact around the globe in our communities and in ourselves. So that's what we're striving towards. But how do we get there? We get there through these 4 action plan priorities. And I was happy, I love to talk about any of them, but I was happy to talk about this one because when we do our surveys, can you all see my screen? Okay. Okay. I can try to reshare it. Let's see.
I think we see it now.
Okay, great. So we have these 4 action plan priorities: increase our impact, extend our reach, enhance participant engagement, which we'll be focusing on today, and then the last one, adapt. If we do those 4 things, we'll reach that goal, which is our vision statement. And feel free to stop me anywhere along the way if you have a question, because my favorite part of any presentation is answering the questions that you have, or you can save them to the end if you want. So why do we need what we call the action plan? You know, we called it a strategic plan. We have a strategic plan committee, strategic planning staff, but we call it the action plan because we're actually using this. And if we use it in the right way, we should be able to have a sustainable organization with healthy clubs that are doing all the things we want to do. So let's talk about what our specific objectives are for enhancing participant engagement. And you as Rotary coordinators and coordinators for the foundation and for public image can use this language. This is the new language that came out this fall. So the objectives of enhancing participant engagement is supporting our clubs so they can engage their members. So we're not just going to talk about this, we're actually doing this. Rotary restructured Rotary International to have a whole department that's focused on participant engagement. And it has various departments such as membership and technology underneath it. So they actually are putting their money where their mouth is. We want to understand and improve the understanding of our participants. So if you think about it, when they were drafting this action plan priority and the vision statement, they could have used something other than participants. They could have used members. They could have used Rotarians and Rotaractors, but they used the word participants. So participants is anyone that we touch when we do our service, anyone we interact with. So let's say we're doing youth exchange. It's not just our members, it's also the youth exchange students. It's the host family. It's the Rotex people. It's the people that we serve. So participants is everyone we come in contact with. So we want to enhance, if we're in a Rotary Community Corps, the people we're serving in that community corps, they are participants. We also want to offer opportunities for professional and personal development. And this is especially true with our youth programs and our Rotaractors, because the surveys show that's why they're involved in Rotary, and that's what they're most looking to get out of Rotary. And we want to provide leadership development, skill building. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about enhancing participant engagement. So it's interesting, we do different surveys in Rotary. We do about 3 a year, and we do a survey for leaders. So we ask our district governors, we ask our presidents, and we ask our Rotaract presidents certain questions. So we ask them, out of these 4 action plan priorities, what has been the most important for your Rotary work? So when we asked the district governors, they said enhancing participant engagement is the most important thing they do. Rotary Club presidents, Rotaract presidents, same there. Now they do think impact's important, and expanding our reach is important, and adapting is important. They're all important, and we have to do all of them if we want to reach that vision statement. But what we're talking about today, at least to our leaders, it's the most important part, the most action-oriented for their leadership that they care about. And it makes sense if you think about it. If you're a club president, people are going to be asking you about what's our next service project, what's our next social, things like that. So that participant engagement is going to, of course, be important to our governors, our presidents, and our Rotary presidents. And really, if we engage them, then they're going to be happy. They're going to stay. They're going to invite more people. And we're going to have more hands and hearts to do more great service. And of course, that service is engagement as well. So when we ask our Rotarians in our all-member survey, the most recent one that's been published is our 2023 last year's survey, we ask them what are their top priorities. And what our Rotarians say is their number one priority for our members is increasing member retention. And that's all about engagement. It's all about this third action plan priority. Of course, we want to learn all the lessons from polio so we can have impact. We want to attract members, reach new members, improve the member experience, think about diversity so we can strengthen our clubs and all those other things. But the number one thing that our Rotarians care about, we talked about our leaders, now we're talking about our members. And I think to be a good coordinator, you really need to know, and it doesn't matter if you're a foundation coordinator or a public image coordinator or a Rotary coordinator, you need to know what our Rotarians are thinking. So our leaders are thinking enhancing participant engagement is important, and our members are thinking that as well. So there's different ways to engage people. So when we are asked by a club, how many of you actually was asked by someone to join a Rotary club? So most of us were actually asked to join. We do have membership leads that come to the website and say, hey, I heard about Rotary, but most were asked to join. Well, when we're asked to join, we learn a lot about our club, right? And we know Rotary is what happens in our club, but no one really leaves Rotary International. They really leave a club because they're not happy with the club culture or the club experience. So what's important for us as coordinators is to let our Rotary members and our Rotary leaders know that there's other things outside of Rotary, your club, your Rotary club, that you can engage with. You can engage in the area, which is usually 3 or 4 different clubs within a district. You could do things at your district level. And when you join your Rotary club, you don't know these are available. You don't know you can do things in an area or in a district unless someone tells you. And I think that's what one of our major jobs as coordinators are. I was a Rotary coordinator at one time. And that's one of the things that I like to do is tell people what goes on in the zone, what goes on in the district. So we have a number of districts within a zone. I have 16 districts in my zone. That's about average size. And then we have zone pairs where a couple zones or a couple zones in a zone part will come together into a region. My region is 36, so we have zone 29, 25B, and 25A. So it kind of runs in the middle of the US from Canada down to Central America. And then, of course, we have Rotary International. And it's funny how few people in our clubs, they've heard Rotary International, but they don't know that they can get engaged in Rotary International. And I tell you, the more engaged they get, the more passionate they get about Rotary. And we have stronger members, stronger leaders, and we end up growing so we could do more things. So one of the best ways to engage a member is service projects. Most service projects are local, but there's also international projects. This was a few months ago. President Stephanie and I went to Korea. And when we arrived at this apartment building, there was a man in his mid-50s, and he came up and he was just crying because he was so excited that he was meeting Stephanie. And not that it was all about Stephanie. It was Stephanie, as president of our organization, represented all of you and all the great work you did. And he was living inside this apartment building, and the apartment building had lost its electricity. There was mold in the walls. It was really uninhabitable, but he was living there with his 85-year-old mother, and the Rotarians came in and they gutted the apartment. They put in electricity, they painted the walls and made it habitable again. So he was so happy that there are people like all of you doing these great projects. And when you do those projects, you're doing with like-minded people, and people get excited and they want to do more projects. So this is one of the best ways that we can engage members. And a lot of people go their whole Rotary career without ever doing or trying to do an international project. But there's all kinds of projects you can do. And you can even work on an international project from your home. You don't have to go anywhere else. You can stay in Sweden and do your project by raising the monies, getting the people together. But it's also fun to travel and see the work that you've done. So we also have something called Rotary Action Groups. So action groups are not a district, they're not a club. They actually don't do projects because they can't get global district grants, but they're experts in doing projects. So they can help you design a project. They can help you fund a project. I love this picture because it's a couple of my friends and I, we went to Honduras to build a well. And it really, we talk about impact and things like that, but the engagement you have with these people and going on a trip like this could change your life. I mean, we first went to a couple of the villages where we had done projects before, Rotary had, and we saw the kids, dancing around in their little girls in their bright colored dresses, the boy in little white cowboy hats, singing and dancing because they had clean water. Then we'd go to the villages that were still they were in need of clean water, and there the infant mortality rate was somewhere 75–80%. So 80% of their babies were dying because they were either eating food that was watered with contaminated water, they were drinking contaminated water. So when you have a group of people go over there and they solve that problem, that's engaging our members. And once they do that, people don't leave as often once they've been engaged like that. It's interesting because if you look at our numbers, I'm sure Anna can tell you this as your Rotary coordinator for your paired zone, we lose 20,000 people a year. I think we lost 19,000 last year. But the scary part is when we lose them. We lose 10% of our members within the first year that they join. We lose 50% of our members within the first 3 years. After 3 years, we all have our friends, lifelong friends. Even our service providers, a lot of them are Rotarians. So if we can engage our members right when they come in and get them into a project, I didn't do my first international service project till after my year as president, because my club before I was at that point, my club wasn't doing international, we're just doing local. And I was engaged, but getting engaged in an international project sometimes has a greater impact because it's just different than doing the usual local service projects. We also have fellowships. So if you in your district have a club that doesn't seem to be growing, it seems to be stagnating or going down, you could have them become a chapter of a fellowship. Most popular fellowship in Rotary International is the Wine Fellowship, and you could actually be a chapter of the Wine Fellowship. But we have, action groups, what we talked about, the people who help you do the projects, there's only 26 of those. But there's over 110 Rotary fellowships. These are around recreational activities, hobby sports. I mean, we have a golf fellowship. There is a new fellowship that we just put together where we got experts in artificial intelligence all around the world, and they just formed last week. So there's a fellowship for artificial intelligence. There is one for people who own planes. There's one for people who like recreation vehicles, campers, things like that. And some of these don't cost anything to join. Some of them have an annual fee. Some of them have a quarterly fee. And then when you go to international convention, you can do things like our Canadian, the one in Canada in Calgary, the one that's coming up here soon, our next international convention. There's a lot of people who are renting or buying RVs or taking their current RVs, and they're all going to go meet up there, and they're going to camp at the international convention. And that's, that fellowship. And if we don't have a fellowship, and we have a lot, like I said, but if there's one that we don't have that you would like, we can help you form one and get people engaged that way. There's a heavy metal band fellowship. So Rotary Community Corps, these are popular in Asia, but there's about 40,000 of them worldwide. They are when Rotarians come together with a group that needs to be serviced or helped, and they together work on helping that community. This is in our local community. We brought 5 different clubs together to form a Rotary Community Corps for the Afghan community. So where I live in Minnesota, we had lots of people that have Afghan refugees that moved to our town. It wasn't hard to do. We just start meeting every other week at a community center in the city that I lived in, and we brought people together. You know, Rotarians, we are great connectors. In my club, we have the mayor, we have a school superintendent, we have the librarian. Why do I bring that up? Well, because the librarian came and she was able to sign people up for a library card, which got them free internet so they can look for a job. And we asked them, what do you need? And so we worked with them to find them housing, to find them clothes, to get their sons and daughters enrolled in school. And then we asked them, what do you need? And they would say things like, well, we need to learn to drive. Well, the driver's license manual in my state was not translated into Pashtun and Dari, and Google Translate couldn't do that. But luckily, a friend of mine in my club worked for a hedge fund, and they had software that would translate. So we translated it and worked with the community to make sure that it was translated correctly. And then people started driving, and we got them cars, and then they got jobs, and then they made money, and they sent some of that money home. So there's people who were creating positive peace around the world from their own backyard with not even going to Afghanistan. I mean, it was amazing. And while this was happening, you public image coordinators will love this. Our Rotary name was getting higher and higher because we would have people from the state that would come in because they wanted to have services. We had local churches come in. We had all kinds of businesses, manufacturing businesses. And these people would get jobs, but they all heard great things about Rotary because of what we were doing. So it didn't cost much money. We would provide, the Rotarians would provide pizza or sub sandwiches every other meeting, and the Afghan community would provide their authentic cuisine that they were used to, usually chicken rice, stuff like that. So not hard to do. But the interesting thing, and I'll bring this up to Anna, because we started this because we thought we were going to grow Rotary by having our new neighbors, the Afghan refugees, join our clubs. And that did happen. But what we saw was in our 5 clubs, we had individual members who were kind of floating away from our clubs. They stopped going to socials. They stopped going to meetings. They weren't doing our service projects, but they got re-engaged because we were doing a different service project. Because you know how it is when you do the same service project year after year after year, and then some people were tired of doing the same old service projects. I mean, in my club, we do feed the hungry, we pick up trash along the highway, but sometimes people get tired of picking up trash. So maybe, helping someone find a home, find a job, drive them to their work is something different. So that engagement is what we're talking about when we talk about the 3rd action plan priority. It doesn't help if we just talk about strategic plans, we talk about priorities, but we don't give examples to the people that we serve, our district members and our club members, to tell them exactly what they can do in the club to actually implement this particular priority. And that's what we're trying to do here. And one of our favorites, my family, my wife and son and I really like to engage our members through Rotary Youth Exchange. So that's when someone comes from a different country and they actually live with a family for 3 months, and then they go 3 different families. Sometimes they stay longer with one family. And then we have outbound students who are our students, our family members that go to their country, and they do the same thing there. And I tell you, there's no more energy in a club when you have an outbound student who's excited to go to a country, or you have an inbound student. This is Paco. He was one of our 7 exchange students that lived with us for a while. When he comes to a club meeting and would talk about it, it's just great. And that engagement lasts even after they move away. I mean, Paco's now at the university. He's got a internship working for a manufacturer of cars, car company. And I remember his first weekend with us, he was taking an engineering class in high school, and we had to go to the hardware store and we had to buy an empty paint can and put in a rubber band and weights and things, and it made it roll across the floor. And I remember him saying, I want to be an engineer because of that project. And I smiled and said, that'd be great, Paco. And then he ended up that he's going to be an engineer. But when you engage these people, I had friends, when I was president of my club, I asked everyone that I worked out with or worship with or work with and family members, join our club, join our club. But some couldn't join because we met 7:30 in the morning and they wanted to take their kids to the bus stop where they had to go to work. But some of them saw our exchange students and they say, we want to do that. So our friends ended up being host families, but they didn't join Rotary right away. But after the year where that exchange student was there and they saw what Rotary did, not all of them, but some of them actually became Rotary members. So that participant engagement, even though it's not with members, it could lead to them becoming members. Now, this is all of you. So we don't have to spend a lot of time in this. You could all tell me about what you do as coordinators. But that is one of the best things you do, can get people engaged. And since you are coordinators, you can actually are more likely to get people engaged than the average member. So tell people about what you do and maybe help them, groom them to be the next Rotary coordinators or assistant coordinators. Peace fellowships. Wow, we have 1,300 of them around the world that have graduated from our program. There's a master's degree program and there's a certificate program. We have our newest Peace Center in Istanbul, Turkey, and we'll be graduating our first class in February 20 through 22nd. And we're going to actually have the 2025 Presidential Peace Conference in Istanbul. But it's amazing what these people have done with their lives. And they're great speakers. If you're on your Zone Institute committee and you need a good speaker, look up these Peace Fellows. But they just, it's just a wonderful way to get people engaged in Rotary. And of course, we have our Zone Institutes, which all of you as coordinators know about those, but it's an opportunity to get our regular members engaged more in Rotary. You know, I remember I had a really good friend, still a good friend, Mark Shockey, who's our district governor-elect right now in my district. And I remember he was a Rotarian long before I was. And during my year as president, he went to the Zone Institute and he said, Tom, my eyes were opened. I didn't know Rotary was such a big world. I didn't know there were all these opportunities. He heard great speakers. So if we can, you know, bring our people here. I ran an institute once in Houston and our district was kind to sponsor some Rotaractors to go down there. So we had 30 Rotaractors go. And I tell you, they had their own Facebook page, they had their own WhatsApp group. And they got involved in Rotary like I would have never thought they could, but for the fact that they went to the Zone Institute. So a lot of times we think, okay, this is the place where we train our district governor-elects and district governor nominees, and of course it is. But if we can involve more people and get them engaged in Rotary through this, it's going to be great. And, you know, of course they can go to the International Convention, but maybe that's cost prohibitive. You know, most zones, people can drive to. Some Zone Institutes you have to fly to, depending on where you are. But it's just a wonderful way to see Rotary and get people engaged in the larger Rotary. We have coming up, you know, once every 3 years, we have our Council on Legislation, which is basically our parliament. Here's Director Chris when she went to her first COL. So you don't have to be your district's representative who's chosen to vote on behalf of your district. You can pay a fee and be an observer. And I've done that before, where you just, I just drove to Chicago and I watched it for a week to see what happens. So, you know, that might sound boring, but if you're a recovering attorney like I am, it's actually pretty exciting to see actually how it works and to meet the different people that you meet. And there's just this whole internationality of Rotary that we don't sometimes appreciate as just a club member. And I know you as coordinators appreciate it, but we have to let our members know too. There's international committees that you can serve on, and you don't have to be even a past district governor. Most are, but you don't have to be. And it depends on the year, but sometimes in July or August in the Rotary International magazine, there'll be a list of committee openings, and they will give you a Qualitrix ID. So you log into the computer and say, I want to be on the strategic planning committee, or I want to be on the audit committee, or the finance committee, or the membership committee, or the technology committee. We have a lot of committees, and we have advisory groups, and we have task force. But these are great opportunities to meet people from around the world, because it's usually every committee has people from around the world, because there's different regionalized aspects of everything from membership to communications and that kind of thing. So you have professional staff, like if you're on the communications committee, they have, we call it public images volunteers, but they have a public relations department. So the editor of the magazine and David Alexander and their staff will actually present things, and then you hear what's going on in the world, and then you decide as a committee to make recommendations to the board of directors, who can accept those or not accept those. But it's just a great way to be involved. And you get to go to Rotary headquarters in Evanston, Illinois, once a year in person and meet these people. President's representative. So every president out of our 536 districts, there's about 400 of them who qualify, because it's long enough and they had enough history of attendance, to get a president's representative. Obviously, the president is too busy to go to every single conference, but they usually send someone to do that. Any of you can do that. You don't have to be a Rotary senior leader to do it. You could have a specialty or something like that you can talk about. So that's really a really fun way to meet more people in Rotary. International Assembly is always fun. Again, you could be a paid observer to International Assembly. This is where we, every year, usually in January, this year it's the second week of February, we go to Orlando. We used to go to San Diego. We go to Orlando, and we train our district governor-elects on how to be good district governors. And there's different ways you can get involved. You can be a learning facilitator. So I guess we don't really train them anymore. We facilitate, because that's how adult learners, we do well. We listen to each other and our ideas. So that's another way you can evolve. And it's great because you see people dressed in their garb. You make friends from around the world. It's just wonderful. You know, in January every year, Rotary has a float in the Rose Bowl Parade, and it's televised and they replay it. So they say 80 million people a year watch this. This is Jennifer Jones in the bottom right, her year as a float. But you can go and you can bring a group, and we've done this a few times. It's a lot of fun. I've brought friends, my wife and I brought our friends with us, and we decorate the float. So every single area of that float is natural fiber. It's either a flower or a seed or a fruit or something like that. It's a wonderful way to connect with Rotarians. And of course, the International Convention is always a great experience. It's 4 days in summer, and we go to different areas in the world. And it's a great place to hear inspirational speakers. We have great plenary speakers. We have breakout sessions where you can learn how to do that. If there's certain projects you want to do, you can actually meet project partners, and maybe some of them have funding for some of your projects. It's just a great experience. And our next one's in Calgary, and then we'll be in Taipei, then we'll be in Honolulu, and then we will be in Minneapolis in 2028. And 2029, you could apply to have the convention come to Sweden if you want to. They're taking applications now for 2029. So the Strategic Planning Committee, after it studied all these surveys, have come up with a number of conclusions. And what they came up with is participant engagement is the most important priority. So thank you, Anna, for picking this one for me. But they're all important. They all hook in together. The action plan is getting to the clubs better than we thought. We put up a structure where Chris Etienne, the person who you saw at the council legislation, she put together zone coordinators to get the action plan to the zones. They put in district coordinators, and now through our president-elect training sessions and things like that, they're trying to get it to the club. Rotary happens at the club. The most important thing, and you know this as coordinators, is to get our club members excited, because Rotary doesn't happen at headquarters. It happens in our clubs. So what do we have to work on? We have to be flexible. We have to listen to our members. And if our members, a majority of our members want something, we should probably do what they want, because Rotary's like any other business. If we give our members what they want, they'll stay, they'll be happy, they'll be engaged. If not, they will walk away. How do we know what they want? Doing a survey once a year is great. Why once a year? Because our culture changes in the clubs every year, because we have people coming in, we have people leaving. So what it is today might be different than what's next year. So that's why it's important to do that. And we should work on diversity. And we should encourage our Rotaractors for the future. So I know that was an awful lot, but what I'd like to do is answer any questions you have, because I want you to leave today with the knowledge you came seeking. So any question you want, just yell it out, and I'll be happy to try to answer it.
We will also have some breakout discussions after this. But if you want to ask Tom any questions on his presentation, go ahead.
Well, first of all, there was a question. Can we get this presentation?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to give it to you. Yeah. I will, I've already sent it to Anna, and she, feel free to distribute that if you want to, Anna. I could resend it if you want in a different format. But I'd like Ingrid to tell us a little bit about the 2025 Presidential Peace Conference, because she's on that committee, and we're all excited about that. But it's a perfect way of showing how we engage people.
I'd love to. I love to. This is going to be something very, very special. This conference will focus on peace. It will focus on different aspects of peace and things that we can do. We will talk about artificial intelligence, how that can be used both positive and negative. We have great speakers. I do have some picture on the presentations, but I need time to put it up if you want that much, but maybe that's not now. I can pick it up for the end of it. But everyone are invited. We will have it from the 20th to 22nd February in a beautiful hotel. Everything will happen at the same place, so you don't have to move around. It will be it's a very, very nice place. And of course, this is, I think Stephanie she's so wonderful about peace, and she wants this to be so good. And we have got so good speakers. So please, all of you, join this, and I can have it ready at the end, or we can distribute it, a small presentation of this. Maybe that's the best way of doing it, Tom. Don't you think so?
I think that's a wonderful idea.
I will, yeah.
Thank
And
you.
then Mona, can you tell us about what it's like to be a sergeant at arms? Because I've never done that, but it seems like it's a really good way to engage our members.
Oh, it's the best what you ever can do. You are a Rotarian, helping Rotarian, helping them to have fun, to connect. You can do whatever they want to do. As it's the most, I can't please whatever be. I can't say anything more than it's the most fantastic you can do to be a sergeant at arms.
I figure you guys have more friends in Rotary than anybody else.
Yeah,
Because you just meet people. They're always coming.
I can tell you, as a sergeant at arms, you get hugs from behind, from the side, from the front, wherever you are, you get hugs when you're a sergeant at arms. Isn't it amazing?
And our events couldn't happen without the sergeant at arms. They're such a big help.
See, I'm an attorney. I had to join Rotary to get friends.
Well, thank you so much, Tom, for speaking to us today. And this has been recorded, so we will post it on our zone webpage for people to see it after. Because we do invite all members, all Rotarians and all Rotaractors in our 2 zones, and others interested also. So hopefully they will watch it after. So thank you so much, Tom, for taking the time during your lunch and inspire us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And then I hand over to Lars for the breakouts.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you, Tom. Rotary friends will soon be moving into breakout rooms. You'll have 15 minutes to discuss and come up with answers to one of the questions provided you. Each group should select a spokesperson to present your findings and someone to take notes. So one spokesperson and one to take notes in the group. And when we regroup after 15 minutes, you'll share your insights with everyone. Each breakout room will have a dedicated zone facilitator. That will be Anna for membership, Urmas for foundation, and Frederick for public image. And they have the question you are to talk and discuss about. So Philip, make some magic and get us into those breakout rooms, please. So here we are again after 15 very fast minutes in the breakout rooms. I will give you all the questions from all the rooms in the chat so you can see all the questions. And then I would like to ask, we start with membership. And Anna, do you have a spokesperson who can say something about what you had for an answer for the membership question that are in the chat for those who are not in that room?
I do. We have Mikkel.
Yes. So hello, Michael here. We were discussing about the membership, and the main issue is make members active. It's the activity of the club and the members. So the most important thing is to make projects, just to first of all engage members of the club, and the second of all to have something to show outside of the Rotary to new candidates for joining the Rotary, or just to show the image of our organization. So we're discussing about different projects on different levels. The projects of anti-bullying, for example, the projects for Ukraine, some cooperations with the national parks, the projects that should engage young people. I can say also that I can see that's the important is the age diversity in the club, because then we can engage all the members on different projects, long time projects, on also the short projects. So that was, I think, our main conclusions of our discussion.
Thank you so much, Mikkel. And if you have some notes from your room, you could upload that in the chat as well, please, so that the other groups could see it, and we can store it in the zone to have these ideas and use them, not just to speak about them in this meeting, but use them afterwards as well. That's some of the point of this meeting. Urmas from the foundation, do you have a spokesperson?
Yes, I decided not to waste time with a finding spokesperson. I speak myself. Like the few things which came out. The first thing was that there is. It's important to ask from members what projects or what they want to be engaged in, and you don't have to expect that all club members are going for a same project. I have also noticed that some clubs are club members are looking for a one and another one, and then club presidents is starting to vote which one we as a club supports or district supports. Maybe not either, instead of either or, we will rather apply both and. We can do more projects and different projects. Then the second point was that to try to create the theme-based either groups in a club or even satellite clubs, just to around the project involve people who are actually feeling engaged with this kind of topic, and there's one example where the club is trying to create this way the satellite club of the people who who are like a feeling attached to the one type of theme or project. Then we talked about that we probably need to talk about more about being proud about Rotary, beauty of Rotary, and we are not only the members of a particular small club, but we are also members of Rotary International. And if we want to be more proud about Rotary International, then Rotary Foundation is a crucial element of that. And then there was idea of also sharing videos about nice sort of like action, people in action in the projects. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And if you have some notes, please add them to the chat as well. And then the third group, public image, Frederick.
Yes, please. Thanks, Lars. I happen to be the chairperson for this breakout session as well, and I have Tina as the person taking notes, so she will share with you in the chat. We became very practical. The key question was how to to share best practice, how to succeed in engage participants or enhance participant engagement from a public image perspective. So best practice aspects, and we started off right away talking about projects, cleaning parks, doing local stuff. It's hard to get into media and get into even social media with international projects, but local projects, hands-on projects, invite your friends, invite your family, etc., to be part of it, and keep talking about it, and be sort of persuasive to really get your point through. And I must say that we had a really good chat in this breakout session, and there's so many more things to say, but I think it's going to be just too much. So I'm stopping right here, and Tina will share some notes with all you guys.
Great, Frederick. Thank you so much. And then I would also like to share on the chat the link to the homepage of the Rotary Zone 17 and 18, where you can find all kind of information about what happens in our zone, and also the Facebook site for our two zones. Follow these, and we'll get back to you with 2 more meetings this year when it comes to the action plan. So thank you so much for having us for this hour, and we are thanking you so much for attending and looking forward to see you again. Thank you and good night.